It's that time of the week. It is time for Plank of the Week, everybody's favourite show. What we've got for you this week will astound you and astonish you, because there's been an awful lot of plankery. I'm delighted to say that today I'm joined in the studio here at talkTV by JJ Anisiobi. JJ, very nice to see you. And Laura Dodsworth, very nice to see you back as well. You haven't done it as much, perhaps, as you should have done, so both of you should be doing more of it, I think.
This is my first plank.
Is it?
Yeah.
Have you never done it?
I think I might have been a plank one time.
Were you?
Yeah, maybe. I think I was nominated.
Really? I was sure you'd been on it before. Well, welcome in that case. We better give you first dibs then. If you've never done it before, let's hear your first plank.
So my first plank. Rachel MACLEAN.
MACLEAN.
Yeah.
This is the Tory MP, right?
She says, take on more hours and get a better paid job if you're struggling with the cost of living.
Well, it's not bad advice, is it?
You don't think people are already working jobs and working enough hours?
No. Most people are not working hard enough, in my view, because they're all working from home.
No.
They're working 4-day weeks. They're working 3-day weeks. They're going, oh, I don't really want to travel anywhere.
Maybe if you're a GP or you work at Twitter, that's true, yeah. But not if you're in the NHS, not if you're a teacher.
You must be joking. Half of the NHS are working from home.
No.
Why do you think there's such a backlog going on?
I'm not having that, mate. No,
you are.
no,
Well, you're
no.
wrong.
The nurses...
Well, let me tell you something about the NHS, right? I walk past Guy's Hospital every day of the week, right? Because I park my car just behind it. Every day of the week, it's absolutely rammed with people. There's ambulances, there's people on stretchers, wheelchairs.
Yeah.
You know what's out there on a Saturday?
What?
Nothing.
Well, why is
There's
that?
nothing going on a Saturday or
well,
a Sunday.
No one's sick on Saturdays and Sundays. That's normal.
Apparently the NHS doesn't need to work at the weekend. Laura, would you like to join in?
Yes, I would, OK, because I think without picking on particular professions, this advice is stupid.
Is it?
Yeah. No, the usual suspects have taken against the advice in the way that you'd expect, oh, people are working so hard already. But the fact is, if you're the sort of proactive person who's going to get an extra job or work longer hours to earn more money, you're going to do it. You don't need to wait for an MP to tell you.
Yeah,
and for those who are struggling, this advice does nothing except rub salt in the wound. It's completely pointless advice. Actually, the sort of action we'd want from ministers is to take better control of the economy a lot earlier and not preach to people about needing to work longer hours.
I mean,
hang on a minute, because actually I'm a bit fired up about Rachel MACLEAN. I mean, what should we do? Become MPs, fill expenses, and get our lovely rises every year?
See,
is that the answer?
A bit of a sweeping generalisation.
Well, you were just making sweeping generalisations about the NHS.
You were,
Mike. I was telling you about my own experience of walking past the hospital.
Oh, one hospital?
Yeah, well, walk past any hospital at the weekend and they're not there. Walk past the hospital on a bank holiday, nobody there.
Good grief.
They don't work bank holidays and weekends, they just don't.
What about A&E? Is that closed on weekends?
There isn't an A&E there.
Well, not that one specifically, but there's still people working at A&E.
I can only give you evidence that I have collected on my own.
Well,
but her advice isn't really for people who are being employed by the NHS or the civil service, who are huge employers. It's for people who are probably on 0-hours contracts or casual work and are really struggling.
But I'm just talking, generally speaking, to tell people... I mean, I say this to my kids, you know, if you want to get money, go and get a job. Right? My 17-year-old is now working as a waiter in a restaurant, you know, because I'm not giving him money for nothing. So he's learning the work ethic. Now, if he hasn't got enough money because he wants to go to the Reading Festival and some other thing in the summer, then he needs to get another job. Yes. And I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, but he's 17 years old as well.
My teenager has a job at Pizza Express. I've told him to work to save up for a
Prince
car.
Andrew there?
No.
Nobody else has either.
But the thing is... But Mike, we're parents, and Rachel MACLEAN isn't our mum. She's a minister.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
But, I don't want to be taught to like a work-shy teenager.
And I agree with you both that we don't need ministers giving us advice on how to live our lives. I get that. But generally speaking, as a piece of advice, I don't think we should be going down this route of, oh, you know, people are poor because, you know, there's somebody thinking somebody's got it in for them and that they're poor because, you know, they haven't got any opportunities.
No.
All of that, which is kind of where this all went.
No, because there's plenty of people who are poor who are still working 60, 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
There's people who are poor who are working 2-3 jobs.
Of course.
So her advice then is redundant, completely redundant.
It's not completely redundant. I think as a general piece of advice, it's quite sound. I just think she's the wrong person to be giving it out.
Get a better job. It's that simple.
Yeah.
So you're a single parent. You're already working 3 jobs, and they're all low-paid jobs. So now what, you're supposed to just get a job as a banker?
I mean, there are people who continue to get more and more jobs and just continue to get as much money as they can. A lot of people work very, very hard, and I'm not in any way diminishing that. I'm just saying that as a general piece of advice, I don't think it's bad advice.
I think it's terrible advice.
You know,
Mike.
okay.
Terrible.
Well, I mean, you don't work very hard, do you?
Well, I don't work very hard, no.
No, but you make plenty of money working at the hours that you do, but there's room in your life for another job, isn't there?
There might be.
I mean, you'll be free this afternoon, you know. How about you, Laura? What's your first plank?
My first plank. Oh well, you know, I'm gonna follow on. I'm gonna follow with the same kind of theme. I'm gonna nominate Andrew Bailey as one of my planks of the week because
Absolutely.
he has commented on the apocalyptic food prices and shortages that are coming up. And to add to that, he says that he is helpless as the Bank of England to do anything about it. Now, please, before you jump in with your own comments, because this is very comment-worthy, I must unleash the full force of my dismay at his ridiculous comments. First of all, I really take exception to the use of the word apocalyptic.
Yes.
I am fed up with government officials, Bank of England officials, public health officials, everybody in public life using doom-mongering language, which is designed simply to strike terror into your heart and make you comply.
Yeah.
There was another message that he's had for us, which is that people should perhaps not ask for pay rises.
Yeah.
As
He's not going down the old
our way of doing our part to control inflation. And he has very kindly, generously not asked for a pay rise himself, although he's earning so much he doesn't even know what he's earning.
Well, he's nearly on 600,000 a year, isn't he?
Something like that, yeah.
He's not sure because he earns so much.
Never counted it.
OK, so I object to the language of fear. We live in a culture of fear. Today, I'm just going to say, is the first anniversary of my book, A State of Fear. So
well done.
This has been on my mind and a field of research now solidly for a year.
Yeah.
But there's another thing. He says he's helpless to do anything about it. So why is he the governor of the Bank of England?
He's not really the governor.
Do you know what he could have done? He could have raised interest rates earlier.
Yes.
He could have perhaps not quantitatively eased the country through lockdown. Anybody who was enjoying furlough in their garden in spring, summer 2020, how do you like them apples now? This is the absolutely predictable inflationary response.
Pardon me for asking this question, JJ, but what does the governor of the Bank of England actually do all day? If he can't control inflation, what else is he doing? What's he doing?
Probably working from home, I guess.
Probably. But what's his job?
Yeah.
His job is to control the economy, isn't it?
Well, he's
and he
helpless.
says he's helpless.
He's helpless and it's an apocalypse.
So he
He's
should
got a lot of
resign.
time on his hands.
He should resign.
He should. I think he should resign.
The word apocalypse actually means an uncovering and unveiling, and I think what's truly unveiled here is not that he's run out of horsemen. I'm afraid he's deployed all the horsemen, actually, which were quantitative easing,
with horse in it.
lockdown, furlough, and our war contribution. It's not that he's run out of horsemen, it's the fact that he should have seen all this coming and he did nothing.
Yeah, and that's absolutely unforgivable. My first plank is a guy who's been on the show that I've been doing for the last 2 days. He works for Royal Mail. He's a postman. They can still call him that, apparently, postman.
Wow.
He was, well, I just wanted to make that point. It's not a post person, it's a postman.
For now, don't speak too soon.
He's basically filmed. You know, everybody's got one of these cameras now on the door.
Yeah.
He's filmed, I don't know if you've seen the video, he's filmed walking up to the door, rings the bell, woman answers the door, he hands the package over, there's a bit of a chit-chat between them, then you hear a dog who's kind of, making a little bark, and then you hear the dog getting a bit more excited. Then you see him kicking the dog, right? Absolutely catapulting it across the drive. It flies across the drive on its back, lands in the garden. He just walks plainly away. And the Royal Mail have said, we take the welfare of our postman very seriously. They haven't even apologised for him doing it. I think it's a case for the RSPCA, animal cruelty, and the guy should be done. I'm not calling for him to be sacked, but I think he should definitely be, at the very least, frightened into being given some kind of, penalty charge notice.
This is not like the Kurt Zuma incident. It's nothing like that one.
It's worse.
No, it's not.
It is.
What you can't see is where the dog actually bites the guy's ankles.
He didn't bite him.
He says he did. The guy says he did.
No, he didn't. He was worried he was going to be bitten, but there's no reaction from him. If you've ever been bitten by a dog or seen anyone bitten by a dog, you go, whoa, like that.
He's a postman.
He doesn't do that.
He's used to it.
Well, why, if he's used to it, why is he kicking
So that's why his reaction was instantly, right, kick, bang,
Yeah, but
goal.
you're not telling me, surely you're going to sit there and justify animal cruelty, are you?
Oh, well, if you call it animal cruelty, no.
What do you think it is?
The dog looks fine.
It looks fine.
A wee kick.
Well,
and the owner
kicked it about 10 feet away.
And the owner said nothing. The owner didn't kick off in the video either, so she's obviously used to it.
The child was standing at the door, as far as I understand it. It wasn't the grown-up, so it was the child who was at the door. So probably speechless, probably terrified that this guy's a thug, isn't he?
Well, I think, there is actually a problem in the post office with dogs attacking postmen, if we're allowed to say that. I even feel nervous about referring to postmen. Will I be attacked later on social media? Look at where we are today. What times we live in?
Specifically refers to them as postmen and postwomen. So
All
I guess
right.
they don't have any trans post.
So if we're going to assume he identifies as a postman, right? So anyway, moving on. I'm sure I can resurrect this later.
I'm sure you can.
I think it's cruel to kick the dog, but
you wouldn't do that in the street. We always used to make an argument about on a football pitch. If somebody headbutts someone in a football pitch, if you did that on the street, you'd be arrested. If I went up to somebody's dog in the street and just kicked it, that wouldn't be considered to be right.
But the thing is, people often don't react the right way with a dog. So, you know, if a dog is appearing to be aggressive or barking at you,
dog about that
first of all,
size.
it's doing its job. It's defending its territory. You need to understand dogs. You just say, down,
Right.
stay. You know, use a firm tone of language. Let the owner come and take it from you.
But it's not like
Kicking the dog is unnecessary
force. It's not like
force.
a Doberman, you know, with fangs, you know, foaming at the mouth. It's a tiny little dog. Couldn't harm a fly.
Do you know,
I think it's a horrible thing to have done.
I have a tiny little dog,
Yeah.
and she once went bounding up to a fisherman by the pond, little recreational fisherman, and he'd left his sandwiches on the ground. Now, hello, that is the epitome of low-hanging fruit for a dog.
Literally.
So she goes up, she sniffs the sandwiches. She may have picked one up, but, you know, who can blame her? She's a dog. And he got up and with his really big, like, hobnail boots on, kicked her hard in the head.
That's horrible.
I was really shocked.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, you're such a violent person, I don't even feel that I can say anything.
That's
If
horrible.
you kick a dog, what are you going to do to me?
Yeah.
I think some people do have this very blasé, cruel attitude towards small animals. Would the postman have kicked a Rottweiler? No.
Probably
he
not.
kicked a small dog because there's part of him that might be a bully and thought he could get away with kicking a small dog.
Yeah, I think that might well be right.
Well, good luck.
So
that is not going to make it into Plank of the Week, I promise you.
Well, we'll see. I won't make you judge it then.
Me. I like judging it.
Yeah, you can judge it.
I'll
right?
judge it.
He's just kiboshed himself. No, time for your second plank.
Second plank, Liverpool Football Club. This is more about
You better be ready for the backlash.
This is the people who are against Liverpool Football Club because the fans were booing the national anthem. And people are saying, oh, they're against the Queen, it's disrespectful. They weren't against the Queen. The Liverpool fans have been doing this since the 80s against Margaret Thatcher, the establishment,
so
the Hillsborough
boring, isn't it?
cover-up. So that's why they're booing it.
It's really boring. But, I mean, why are they booing Prince William? What's it to do with him?
No, but it was during the national anthem. It wasn't specifically aimed at him. They're booing the national anthem, which they always like to do.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really care whether they boo it or not. I don't think it's a very nice thing to do. I think it makes people feel a bit uncomfortable. I know plenty of Liverpool fans who will tell you that they don't believe that they're actually British, that they're from Liverpool first.
Yeah.
Oh, they just say that because they go on about Liverpool exceptionalism.
No, they do.
And that's...
but they do. An awful lot of Liverpool, certainly Liverpool fans that I've spoken to, and they're quite open about it. It's not like anything to be, you know, in any way ashamed of or anything.
But
They don't consider themselves. They don't consider themselves to be British. No, they don't. I've had people on the phone telling me from Liverpool, I wouldn't fight for Britain. I wouldn't join the armed forces. You know, I'm not British. I'm from Liverpool.
Yeah.
You know.
But like JJ's saying, there are historical reasons for Liverpool to be anti-establishment.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with them booing the anthem at all. Sure, I get that some people say it's not very nice, but actually, I think there's a lot of residual anger after Hillsborough. You know, don't forget, this is the city that doesn't buy the Sun. They boo the anthem. They are anti-establishment. Personally, I forgive them that. And do you know what? There have been calls for the FA to step in and do something about this. Well, if we have a government that
but
stands
these are all
against...
from people.
Well, hang on. If we have a government that stands against cancel culture, let people boo the anthem. That's part of a free society.
Also, pop quiz for all you people who have never been to a football match, but you're terribly middle class and upset. You know, there's a lot of terrible things that happen at football matches.
Yeah.
Lots of really awful chants.
Yeah.
I mean, Rod Liddle and I were having a funny conversation the other day about there was a plan at one point to bring the Iranian national team to Millwall to play a game at the Den, or the new Den, right?
Wow.
And he said they'd already come up with the first chant, which was, you're Shiite and you know you are. Which I thought was brilliant, you know. And the thing is, right, everyone knows if you go to a football match, I mean, I stopped taking my kids to football when they were quite young because it was pretty horrible.
Yeah.
You know, I took them to Chelsea once and we sat in the family enclosure, but that didn't stop us from hearing all the chants which were really rather unpleasant. And I don't like it. I'm not in favour of it, but you can't tell them not to do it.
No, it's part of football. And first of all, if we don't believe in cancel culture, if we believe in free speech, that has to include being anti-establishment and booing and
so
and
the
booing the
planks
national
are not
anthem.
the Liverpool fans who booed for you?
The planks are the people complaining about the fans booing.
OK, all right, fine. Laura, your second one?
OK, well, I feel like I'm following JJ like a little dog yapping after a postman's heels.
Yeah, be careful.
He thinks that's all right. He's got some big shirts here as well.
Don't kick me. But I also like a nice segue. So I'm gonna make my second plank Calvin Klein.
Ah, yes.
Because you know, while we're allowed to say postman, it would appear that Calvin Klein has ditched the age-honoured fantasy of sexual allure for the fantasy that men can get pregnant.
Yes.
Because it released a campaign on social media on the United States Mother's Day, which is different to ours, featuring a Brazilian transgender female, and I must say female for the sake of biological reality.
Different use of the word Brazilian, I must admit, when I saw that.
Oh, the way your mind works, Mike Graham, the way your mind works. This is somebody of a Brazilian nationality who's a trans man, but therefore female, wearing CK1s. Now, it's quite a strange ad.
CK1s being a particular type of brief?
Calvin Klein pants.
Okay.
Are they called CK1s, or am I just locked in some distant past when pants were sexy?
Yeah.
Calvin Klein's, okay. So, first of all, you know, pants advertising has, sure, it's been criticised for projecting really beautiful, perfect bodies, but there's something about the sexual allure. That's how they reach the mass market. It's like, wear these pants and you too will be hot.
Yeah.
Or buy these pants for your man and he will be adorable. And now it's, I don't really know. They're going for this very tiny niche market of people who find...
It's a bit of virtue signalling, though, isn't it?
It's virtue signalling, but let's see what it does for pant sales. The other thing is they released the campaign on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Now, organisations from the United Nations to brands like Calvin Klein do have this weird progressive penchant for dropping their virtue signals to do with trans people on days normally reserved for women. You know, it's always International Women's Day or Mother's Day. Can't Mother's Day just be about mothers?
Mothers, yeah.
And I'm imagining that this Brazilian transgender female, trans man, actually would probably rather their campaign had timed with Father's Day, not Mother's Day,
Maybe.
if they are...
It's very confusing, isn't it?
It is a bit confusing. I'm not sure what the right thing to do would be, but it's just a big dollop of virtue signalling. And actually, I'd rather pants ads look sexy. I'd be more likely to buy them.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, people like us who have a go at these kind of adverts will always get accused of being outraged by it. We're not outraged by it in particular, but people go, what's wrong with it? What's the problem? And to be fair, it has given Calvin Klein a lot of publicity, which I suppose they might argue was the point of it all. But somebody also put together, you know, a list of their old adverts and how back in the sort of, you know, late last decade, it was skinny girls in bikinis, and then it was kind of larger women because that was a thing, and now it's trans women, trans men, whatever, you know. So, I mean, who knows what it's going to be like in about 10 years' time? What are they advertising then?
You revert to pictures of women in your mind thinking about pants ads, and this was, of course, how it works.
Yeah.
I revert to David Beckham in Emporio Armani or Mark Wahlberg in Calvin Klein's. These are the images I, for some reason, treasure in my memory banks when it comes to pants ads.
Yeah.
This one I'll be remembering for a completely different reason.
But I guess it's a different demographic now. So back in our day, I say our day, your day, it was...
You know what, loads of people said to me, oh yeah, like you haven't bought anything from Calvin Klein. I used to buy Calvin Klein suits. I've still got a couple of shirts. I've never bought their underwear because I didn't really fancy it. My kids wear their underwear.
But yeah, Calvin Klein have also just done a collab with Palace, which is quite a youthful, cool brand. So I think for the market they're now targeting, it works for them.
Yeah. Well,
Let's see how many pants they actually shift on the back of that ad.
It works for what is the metropolitan sort of, you know, soft underbelly types like JJ, you know, who just say everything's great, everything's fine. You do whatever you want, be whoever you are. Just, you know, I don't care what you do, as long as you don't go around kicking dogs. Oh no, he doesn't mind that either. You know, it's all about showing that you're so tolerant, and you know, you don't get worked up because that's for the gammons to get worked up about. So you know. I'd say definitely plankish, but they've also done quite well to get themselves talked about so much. My second one is Sir Keir Starmer, the so-called leader of the Labour Party. Don't know how much longer for. Keeps changing his story. You know, he was on Loose Women this week, right? And apparently he now admits that there were 15 people at this gathering, which everybody else says there were 30 people at. Before it was 6. He wasn't quite sure exactly whether he'd broken any rules, so he asked the police to investigate. People are going, why are you asking the police to investigate something that you, as the former Attorney General or the Director of Public Prosecutions, should have known was either a breach of the law or wasn't? How does he not know whether he broke the law? How does he not know?
I think he's getting confused, isn't he?
He's getting very confused. He's done himself no good whatsoever. And also this week it was pointed out, the man who says he's got all the integrity in the world. And the thing is, it's like if somebody keeps coming up to you and saying, do you know, I've got a lot of integrity, I'm very trustworthy, you kind of start going, really? Why do you have to keep telling me that then?
Yeah.
Because apparently he's done 2 interviews, one which was done in the House of Commons lobby, where he was asked if he would rate Jeremy Corbyn as a leader when Jeremy Corbyn was in charge. And he went, oh, I don't want to do that because he's a colleague and a friend. And then he goes to an interview with the Jewish News and they ask him straight out, is Jeremy Corbyn a friend of yours? And he goes, no. So either he's friends with him or he's not. I don't really care, but that doesn't mean he's a man of integrity, does it?
No.
It's you know, he set the moral bar very high for Boris Johnson. For any misdemeanour on Boris Johnson's watch, he must depart.
Yes.
But now I'm beginning to see why Sir Keir Starmer set the moral bar so high, so that it'd be easier for him to limbo under at the next party.
Yes.
I mean, he really is the evergreen plank of wood, isn't he? He deserves to be here pretty much every week.
He really does. And I think his only sort of shtick is that he's a man of integrity versus Boris, the man who is not to be trusted. That's all gone now. He's blown it. He's absolutely blown. Even if he doesn't resign, he can't anymore ever stand up at the dispatch box and say to Boris Johnson, you know, nobody believes a word you say. You're an absolutely untrustworthy
Yeah,
man,
but he's
lacking in all
still
integrity.
he's still more trustworthy than Boris Johnson.
Well,
Everyone,
everybody's more
a snake is
trustworthy.
more trustworthy than Boris
I
Johnson.
mean, I'm not going to pile in on his personal attributes one way or the other, but yeah, it wouldn't be hard to find somebody a bit more trustworthy than Boris Johnson.
Yeah,
would
so
it?
he's nowhere near as bad as Boris. He's fallen short of his own measure.
But that's
At
no
least
reason
Boris
to
Johnson
elect him.
knows what a woman is, whereas Sir Keir Starmer
That's true.
doesn't want to say if somebody has a cervix as a female and if a woman can have a penis.
Yeah.
I mean,
he can't answer any of those questions.
he can't answer the
finds it
questions.
difficult.
I mean, he's spineless.
Yeah,
You know, he can have
absolutely.
all the integrity he wants, but he doesn't have a spine.
That's true, and that's no good. Right, who's your third?
My third is the UK Foreign Office. So we are considering buying a £20 million party loft in New York so we can entertain people when we're over there.
Why?
Mental.
I mean, when I lived in New York, they used to have this thing called the British Information Service, right, which was a sort of offshoot of the UN embassy, if you like, and it was an offshoot of the British Embassy in Washington. And it was just in an office building. It had like 2 floors of an office building. It's where people got passports renewed, sort of where press stuff was done. And we used to go to cocktail parties. There was nothing wrong with that. Why do they need a special loft for it?
Oh God, do you know what this means? They must be planning more lockdowns because they've got their party venue sorted, haven't they? That's what it is.
surely
It's
it'd
for
be for-
secret
no, it'd be for
lockdown
work
parties.
events only.
Is this the kind of
You
job
know.
that Rachel McLean's talking about? Party organisers?
exactly is.
I mean, Foreign Office.
It exactly
diplomats.
is. It is. So Liz Truss is completely behind it. She thinks it's a wonderful idea
Well, to them,
for the
to these guys,
VIPs.
20 million's nothing, right? They
Yeah.
go, well, that's literally, you know...
Well,
we've-
I spoke to Sharon Osbourne about this yesterday, and she made a good point, actually. She did say that the building may appreciate and you can make a profit on it in 15, 20-ish years. But I still think 20 million is a lot of money to just be wasting when we're supposed to be in this cost of living crisis.
Well, that's the thing. But they do waste... I mean, the problem with all governments is all they do is waste our money. They haven't got any money. The money they've got, we gave them. And they make a big deal about giving us some of our own money back and go, oh, look, here's £150 to help with your council tax. Oh, thanks very much. Go and spend another 20 million. It does seem like not a great idea.
Yeah,
Well,
it's frivolous.
It will at least be, like Liz Truss said, it will be a British asset. It's part of our assets, and unlike the money that was literally spaffed into the wind over test and trace.
Well, it might be. But equally, I mean, how many parties are they going to have? Because generally speaking, and JJ, you know more about parties and organising them than I do in this day and age, but surely if you want to organise a party, you get somebody to organise it for you, you rent a space, and it's a one-night-only scenario. You're not going to have a party every single night. What are they going to be doing with the place?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe we should all demand to be able to stay there.
Yes,
as
that's a
taxpayers.
great idea.
You know, everybody gets a night there.
Well, you're a VIP.
Over the course
this
of
can
their
work.
over the course of their lifetime. That's a good idea. Right, so your third one, final one?
Well, my third one isn't a person, it's the entire organisation of Twitter. They have been exposed in a Project Veritas video released yesterday talking about the editorial bias within the company.
Yeah.
So many of us have suspected over years that, in fact, there is a form of content suppression and prioritisation that happens on Twitter due to the use of algorithms, but maybe also personal intervention. And it does seem to have a right-wing bias. Well, a Twitter engineer was caught on camera talking about the fact that at Twitter they are commies, I quote, and have a very socialist bias, and they have been censoring right-wing content and right-wing
There's a funny
accounts. So Twitter, on one hand, like to say they're not a publisher, but on the other hand, they're editing and curating content in the way that
I don't know how they can
publisher
say
does.
they're not publishers. They obviously are publishers, aren't they?
Yeah,
They should
yeah.
be treated the same way. Because you
Absolutely.
can libel somebody, as it's been proven on Twitter,
Yeah.
as easily as you can in any other kind of form of publication, right?
So the problem is that, you know, we know this is happening. It's caught on camera. You could say that's not really strictly speaking evidence, but the UK government's online safety bill is trying to address online harms, one of which is algorithms. And the way it's doing it is saying that Ofcom could audit, review and regulate social media platforms' use of algorithms. But that's not actually going to really empower us, the public, the demos, the people in the public square that Twitter is. What that does is put a secret relationship between the government and big tech. And actually, for a government that has told us that we have to eat a Scotch egg to be allowed a pint, or how many metres we have to stand away from each other, and use, to be honest, the full force of state machinery to suppress content it didn't like and to terrify the public into compliance with lockdown rules, that is not a government I trust with reviewing big tech
But also
algorithms.
you can't trust the big tech companies either, so what do you do?
Well, what I think that the opportunity was in the online safety bill was for government to force big tech to make them public. every social media platform should have the equivalent of a health warning on it, like cigarette packets do, saying this website uses algorithms. It could have the secret sauce recipe on the side for those that can read it and understand it, but also should be forced to disclose what the algorithms actually do. It could be, we give extra brownie points to environmental content. You know where you are then. People suspect it's happening. You know, they should disclose how it works.
I don't want to start reading any rules. You know when they go, have you read all the rules and regulations? No. Yes. Yeah, of course I have.
Well, maybe they shouldn't make you sign the tick box like the cookie thing, which does get annoying. But it should be there as an option. Furthermore, there should be an option to turn it off. You know, I would like to use Twitter and have the timeline completely chronologically sorted.
But maybe
I don't want to mess around with algorithms. You know, we've said that we don't see each other's tweets, for instance.
That's true.
You don't see my tweets.
No.
You have to go and look me
I have to
up.
go and look for them.
That's because he's muted you.
Yeah. I really haven't. At least I don't think I have. You know, I don't see yours either much.
I hardly tweet, to be honest.
Well, that'll be why.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas it's my natural habitat. I'm on there all the time, and people tell me that I'm suppressed.
But also, I don't
they
see Julie
my
Hartley-Brewer's
tweets.
tweets either. There's definitely something weird going on. But I'm not sure I want to make it even more complicated than it is already. I already know it's biased, so, you know, I still work on it.
Transparency. Transparency, not regulation, is the way forward.
Okay.
It empowers people, and that's the direction the companies should take. But anyway, I'm making Twitter my plank for having admitted that they have a working environment which is commie, in their words, and where they're so stressed by the idea of Elon Musk championing free speech that they're stress eating.
That's
what they said.
Another day off soon when we'll work from home. My final one, I think, is the winner, a guy called Jeremy Webster. This is the bloke who is up in Grantham, Lincolnshire. Now, you'll probably be too young to remember Margaret Thatcher, right? But Margaret Thatcher did some great things for this country. Not everything she did was great. I'm not a mad sort of Thatcher, you know, believer or anything like that. But, you know, she came from Grantham, Lincolnshire. She was the first female prime minister this country ever had. I think she did great things for women. Some people didn't like her, but, you know, they put a statue up to her in her place of birth. It seems like a good idea. This plank decides he's 59, right? He's not 10, believe it or not. He decides he's going to throw some eggs at it. And not only is he going to throw some eggs at it, he's going to get his partner to film him throwing some eggs at the statue. I mean, the most pathetic and most ridiculous thing you've ever seen. And also, guess what he does for a living? He's the deputy director of an arts centre in Grantham, which is publicly funded by you and I. So I'd like to see this guy clapped in irons for a couple of weekends to see how, you know, those old-fashioned, you know, clinks that they have in little villages in the country. I think I'd put him in one of those for a couple of weekends and play him non-stop Margaret Thatcher speeches until he said sorry.
But do you know what? Then he'd probably learn more about Margaret Thatcher, because a lot of people...
But this hatred for her is unbelievable.
A lot of people say they hate Margaret Thatcher, but if you challenge them on why, they don't know why. It's because they've been told.
Yes.
Because there's a culture
because the image
where
is
you're
that she
supposed to
ruined
dislike
Britain.
her, but they probably don't really know why. And there's something...
Well,
you know,
there'll be
that's...
people booing the national anthem, right, who will be saying they hate Margaret Thatcher, aged about 18.
Yeah.
Who've never seen a Margaret Thatcher speech or know anything about what she did.
There's just something very performative about throwing eggs at a statue, which is as vacuous as his knowledge of Margaret Thatcher probably is, to be honest.
Also, doesn't he know there's like a food crisis going on? You're supposed to eat the eggs, not throw them at people, you know.
Hopefully they're a rotten one.
For heaven's sake.
I think Margaret Thatcher then, and how she's hated now, that will be in 50, 60 years, that'll be Tony Blair. People will be throwing eggs at Tony Blair's statue.
I'm there for that. I'm going to start saving up for eggs now.
Sir Tony's a good man.
Yeah, I quite like Sir Tony Blair, but not as much as you do. Now, we're coming to the end of the show, so we're going to have to choose from the 3 down to the 1. Since he's already said that he's going to, you know, kibosh my entries, I think you should pick my 3. You should pick your favourite one from my 3. So I've got Jeremy Webster, the Postie, and Sir Keir Starmer.
Oh, well, you know, Sir Keir Starmer could be on it every week.
He could.
And so I'm not going to, you know, he's evergreen. Like I said, I'm going to pick the Postie.
There you go.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
He said it before.
You are corrupt. I've said that before.
I get accused of that all the time. Now, you should choose Laura's then.
Twitter. Absolutely.
Yes.
So he doesn't even need the 3. He's gone straight in.
Twitter, yeah.
Straight in with Twitter. OK. So I get to pick your 3 then. So tell me your 3.
My 3 were people being angry at Liverpool fans.
Yeah.
Miss MACLEAN telling you to get a job, get a better paid job.
Yeah.
And the Foreign Office spending 20 million.
Actually, you know, I'm between Rachel and the Foreign Office. I'm not quite sure.
Okay.
But since I kind of think Rachel's advice is right, even though she shouldn't have said it, I'm going with the Foreign Office.
Okay.
It's still, you know, and also I should tell you that we're carrying over Harry and Meghan. I don't know what they've done this week.
That's like Keir Starmer. You can carry them over
Well, I
every
have to
week.
carry one over because it's the top 10 every week. So we got 9, right? And so we need one more. The other one I always carry over, well, I haven't done for a while, is Vladimir Putin, but it's kind of, you know, bit redundant, that.
Yeah.
If he's only going to be at the bottom of the list, you know. So I think we're Harry and Meghan. So we've got the Foreign Office, Twitter, and the Postie.
Twitter. Obviously,
who
Twitter.
should win?
Obviously, Twitter.
See, she's just saying that because it's her nomination.
No, because,
yes, you are.
because Twitter have set the temperature of politics, society, and people's personal
Well,
lives
see, now you're making
for
a better argument.
years.
That's the better argument.
Yeah.
They've had so much control. They have been dominating the public square with their own political, extremist, ideological bias.
It definitely won't be the Postie. That is not going to be number one this
I'm
week.
not concerned about the Postie winning, you know. It's really not about winning. I keep saying this to Laura. It's not about winning.
It's not about winning.
It's in the final three. It's good enough for me.
I'm going to go with Twitter as well. Yeah.
I think Twitter's
That's
definitely a
good
better
shout.
plank than the Foreign Office.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, I would say the Foreign Office would come in second. This is how magnanimous I am, you see. But I know I've got my pound of flesh. I'm quite happy to take the bottom rung
The danger is, will
of the dining table.
Will we finish planks and find out none of us have Twitter accounts anymore?
Well, they haven't seen it yet, but it might be after that. You know, because I don't know if you know how television works. We record it first, and then it goes out. Maybe put her as plank of the week.
Well, you know,
Next week.
Unless they're listening through my phone, which of course they might be.
they're listening through that right there,
Yeah, big
that
tech.
device.
This
Yes,
device,
big
right.
tech
So,
listening.
congratulations to Twitter. You might be being bought out by Elon Musk, but this week you are Plank of the Week. Thanks to JJ, thanks to Laura. We'll see you next time.